What's going on, everyone? If you're searching for an e-bike, I'm sure you got questions. So today, I thought maybe I'd answer a few, maybe help you out. So if you like this video, share it with others. Question 1, how much assembly is required on an e-bike? Well, usually not much. If it's a folding e-bike, you might be able to just take it out of the box, unfold it, and ride it. But in most cases, there's 4 things you got to put on. You got to attach the handlebars to the stem, you got to put on the front wheel, and it's usually just a quick release skewer like this. Put it through, clamp it down, and you're done. Then after that, you put on the headlight, the front fender with 1 bolt, and then spin on the pedals. Project complete. It's usually pretty straightforward and simple. Just about anybody can put an e-bike together. Question 2, programming. How much do I have to program on the display screen? Usually nothing. They'll come pre-programmed as a class 2 e-bike, which means 20 miles an hour. Every other setting in there for the wheel size and the magnets and all that is usually set. Some bikes will allow you to unlock the top speed even higher than 20 miles an hour. And sometimes you can adjust the pedal assist to give you more power based on your pedal assist number. But other than that, it's pretty much set up ready to ride out of the box. All right, things get much more interesting with question number 3. How much power do I need? Well, it depends really where you live. If you live at the coast and it's really flat, you might be fine with just a 500 watt motor e-bike, maybe something like this. This is the U-Free City Robin. It's got a 500 watt rear hub motor. It'll tackle those average size hills with ease, and with a top speed of 28 miles an hour, it'll have you zipping around town nicely. Now, if you need a little bit more power than that, it's a little bit hillier, you might get something like this. This is the Wired Freedom. It's got a 2,000 watt rear hub motor, crushes hills, and has a top speed close to 40 miles an hour. This one is really for your speed and power enthusiasts. Most people would probably be okay with a bike like this. This is the Haybike Horizon. It's got a 750 watt geared hub motor. It's got great hill climb power, a top speed of about 28 miles an hour. This is what most companies sell in terms of power, the 750 watt. This is what most people probably get and need, and this is what also fits most state regulations. Now, if you live in the mountains or you just want to have a ton of power on tap, then I think dual motors is the way to go. You might get something like this. This is the Hanaveer H100. It's got dual 750 watt motors, absolutely fantastic hill climb power, and it's cheap. You can buy this on Amazon for just 1,300 bucks. But if you want the ultimate in power, then you're gonna have to reach deep in your pockets to get into something like this. This is the Aerial Grizzly. It costs $3,400, but it's got dual batteries, dual suspension, and dual 1,000 watt motors. Tons of power. It absolutely crushes any hill you can throw at it. Overkill in the power department for most people, but how much power do you need? You're gonna have to figure out where you fall on that power scale. Question 4 is how much battery pack do you need? This Aerial Rider Grizzly has 2 battery packs. And so does the Shadow Step e-bike from Fabulous. Bikes with dual battery packs like this one provide you a ton of range. I was able to ride this bike almost 50 miles without pedaling it. Most folks would probably be fine with something like this. This is the Hov Alpha from Hovsco, and inside this frame is a 20 amp hour battery pack. That's gonna be perfectly fine for most people. I can usually get 35, 40 miles out of a battery pack like that with very minimal pedaling. The only time I tend to worry about the range of a bike is if I think the range is going to be under like 20 miles, because most of my rides are 20 miles or less. So if you have a bike like this, where the battery pack has to be smaller to fit inside this folding frame, you're going to get a lot less range out of that. I rode this bike throttle only for about 17 miles before it was totally dead. But think about how long your rides are going to be. I would say 15 to 20 amp hours is probably going to be perfectly adequate for folks that are riding 30 miles or less at a time. And when you see that range number listed on the website, cut it in half. That's what you're really gonna get. All right, question 5, what class e-bike should you get? Well, my question back to you then is, do you want a throttle? If you want a throttle, you gotta get a class 2 or a class 3 e-bike. Class 1 e-bikes have no throttle. They are pedal assist only. Class 2 just means it goes 20 miles an hour, and class 3 means you can unlock it to go 28 miles an hour with pedaling. So most of the bikes sold in the USA, I would say, are probably class 2, and then they allow the user to go in the display and unlock it to a class 3 level. So that's probably what you're gonna get. You might wanna get a class 1 if you plan on riding a lot of bike paths and bike trails where these type with a throttle are restricted and they're class 1 only. So if you wanna ride on those type of trails and be legal, you'd have to get a class 1. Question 6, how do I know if it's a good bike or not? That is a toughie, but what I'm going to say is just keep doing exactly what you're doing right now. Watching content from folks that have ridden or used those bikes or owned those bikes and know about them. Most people don't know enough about bike components and the brands of the parts and stuff to know if it's a good bike just looking at it. You're gonna have to rely on the user experience that people are putting out there and just kind of get a feel for if you believe that company and that bike is a good product or not. This is one of the most popular brands out there right now, the Electric XP. I've ridden several different versions. This is the XP Lite. The build quality on it I like, and they're one of the most affordable e-bikes that you can get out there. It's a pretty good bang for your buck. And I'm not paid by Electric, so definitely one to look at, but just keep doing what you're doing, researching on YouTube. All right, let's change the scenery up a little bit. Hang on a sec. There we go, much better. All right, question 7. What is customer service like? Well, from what I've seen, most of these e-bike companies are run by very, very small teams. The bikes are manufactured overseas. They come over to the USA and then they're just shipped out to customers all over the place. So when you call customer service, it's usually just a few folks working those phone lines. They can help you diagnose over the phone a little bit. And if you do figure out the problem, they can usually get you parts to fix it. However, you're gonna have to do the work yourself. Most local bike shops are not gonna do any kind of electronics work on your e-bike. They might be able to help with your brakes or the derailleur or something bicycle related, but they're not gonna do any electrical e-bike related stuff unless they sell that brand. So customer service, be prepared to be your own repairman. All right, question 8, what style of e-bike should I get? Well, it depends on how you're gonna use it. Are you looking for low speed, around the park, around the campground, neighborhood, tons of cargo capacity? How about this trike from Mooncool? This thing was surprisingly powerful and a ton of fun. Or are you looking for something more nimble and lightweight to get around the city? Then maybe check out something like this City Robin. Skinnier tire, it's gonna be a lot easier to navigate in traffic. It's also a lot lighter weight. I think this one weighs 65 pounds or so, and a lot of those fat tire bikes can weigh like 90 plus pounds. Now, if you're shopping for a kid, you might get something like this. These are both small and lightweight, and they don't go very fast, so it's really easy for a kid to handle. Now, let's suppose you basically want to start building your own electric motorcycle. Then I would get something like this. Now, this is the Spark CycleWorks Bandit. It has a 2,000 watt rear hub motor and all this room right here to customize. Plus, it has a VIN number and all the lighting that you need to be DOT legal. But I got a feeling that most people are probably going to settle on a 26x4 fat tire bike, and I just have one piece of advice for you there. And that is definitely consider the step-through design. These bikes are bigger in person than you think. So having the step-through is really helpful, and they still look really good. All right, question 9, how much should I spend on an e-bike? And my advice to you there is, if it's your first bike, definitely go the cheaper route. I mean, you could spend like $300, $400 on something like this and get dual motors that have tons of power for climbing hills, or you could go onto Amazon and spend $1,300 and get this, which also has dual motors and fantastic hill climb power. So until you know exactly what you want, I would err on the cheaper side. And question 10 is gonna be, what's gonna surprise me when my e-bike shows up? What won't I be expecting? And for that one, I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be the size and the weight of e-bikes. Almost every bike here I showed you today is over 80 pounds. Some of them were up to 108 pounds. The lightest one I showed you was the electric XP, that tan bike. That weighed 48 pounds. And when you compare that to just your regular store-bought mountain bike at Walmart, those bikes probably weigh like 30 pounds. So I don't think people expect that when it shows up at their door, just how big it's gonna be. It's why I recommended the step through. And just how hard it's gonna be to get on and to handle and to lift. That's the big thing. If you gotta lift it anywhere, upstairs or a bike rack or whatever, 80 pounds of awkward weight, that's tough to lift. So that may end up surprising you. I suggest you test drive one if you can. All right, folks, well, all these bikes I showed you today are linked below. If one caught your eye, you can find it. I hope you found this video helpful, informative, maybe at least entertaining. If you did, share it with a friend and consider hitting subscribe. Thanks.